What's up everyone, how are you all? Today we are back with another blazing Naruto story. What if Naruto was seduced by a goddess, then used her power to slaughter Konoha? If you enjoy, then please like, share and do comments. And also check the description to original creator of this beautiful creation. When I think back to how this whole damn mess started, all I can do is blame leader. Blame him and that damn partner of mine. When I tell him that, Itachi just smirks. He's happy with his arrangement and his little prisoner. But then again, he isn't stuck with a loud-mouthed disobedient brat like I am. Maybe I should back up to the beginning. I'll just save you the garbage and give you what it all started with, a scream. You kidnapped the wrong girl. Hey, are you listening to me? She was still screaming. Damn Itachi. Of course the Uchiha took off as soon as they had succeeded in the kidnapping. I'm not interested in this one. Besides kidnapping Kunoichi and drawing out the Kyuubi is the plan, the Sharingan wielder said coldly. What the hell are you talking about? You got the wrong girl. You want Sakura, not me. The blonde loud mouth continued to scream. Itachi just rolled his eyes. Uchiha, you are not leaving me alone with that. I jerked my thumb towards the blonde. Itachi only rolled his eyes. I have other things to do. What the hell was his problem? Sure, this little brat was loud, but he was acting like he was being tortured. You like the quiet ones, don't you, Itachi? His Sharingan flashed at me. Hit a nerve. It's all too easy to annoy the Uchiha brat. There were 5 Kunichis on the list that had to be kidnapped. We only have 1. The remainder should be brought in to be interrogated. Like that fooled me. He obviously had one he wanted to capture. My money was on the pink-haired one that had been obsessed with his brother. Too bad we couldn't just outright capture the Kyuubi brat, but orders were orders. Still, I ain't no damn babysitter, and there's no way I'm going to be one for his sanity. Not that he has much to lose. But as usual, who has to pick up the slack in our partnership? Me, that's who. He should be grateful I like enough to do that. Idiot Uchiha, but then again I could have ended up with worse partners like Hidan, who would have sacrificed me at the beginning. For 2 days she's been silent. Itachi's been gone for about a week and still I haven't heard one word from the girl. Silence is golden. My teammates will find me. Sure kid, whatever you say. Listen here, fishman, I don't like you idiots in Akatsuki. One of you bastards murdered my sensei. I glance at her. So that's why she's so bloody hostile. Being a shinobi is about death, kid. Get used to it. Asuma didn't deserve that. He didn't deserve to be sacrificed. Sacrificed? I curse under my breath. Listen kid, I'm going to let you in on a secret. The guy in Akatsuki that's into all the sacrifices ain't on my good list either. Hidan has one too many screws loose. She blinks back tears. Why are you mad at him? Guess there's no harm in telling her. He tried to sacrifice my pet fish. She starts laughing. You have a fish? Why Kisame, I never knew you were so protective of your pets. I glare at her, biting back a smile. At least she isn't crying anymore. It's been 10 days since my partner took off. Still Ino doesn't stop chattering. How old are you? 32. I'm 16. You don't look that old. I raise an eyebrow to this but keep walking. Honestly, that girl talks about the weirdest things. So do you eat fish even though you are one? I'm not a fish. It's a bloodline trait. A kekai genkai? But you have gills. Tattoos. Oh, so do you eat fish then? I swear I'm going to kill her. But I got to admit that she's better company than Itachi, who rarely speaks. It's like talking to a wall when I'm around him. It's 2 weeks before my partner comes back. At this point I want to strangle the bastard, but he's got someone with her. A pale, quiet girl who looks at me with blank eyes, terrified. What scares the hell out of me is that she's clinging to Itachi. Kisame. Itachi, where the hell have you been? It took longer than I expected to get my prisoner. She was with the Kyuubi boy, as was Sasori's prisoner. You teamed up with Sasori? Not really. We merely ran distractions for each other. I can hear the kid come from the pool where she was bathing. She knows better than to run off. Hey Kisame, what's going on? Who are you? Hinata-chan. She runs quick over to Itachi's prisoner and hugs the silent girl. Ino-chan, I thought I would never see you again. We heard you were missing. Shikamaru and Choji think you're dead. Ino frowned, giving me a scathing look. Why the hell should she blame me? I'm not the one that knocked her out. It's all right, Hinata. Come on, you have got to be tired. Hinata nods as Ino leads her away. So it was a quiet one. Itachi glares at me with his crazy eyes but doesn't say anything. Of course hell broke out when we got to the Akatsuki headquarters. There were now 6 women if you count Conan. Each of you claim a prisoner. That prisoner is your responsibility, leader said. I didn't say anything as I grabbed the loudmouth blonde. Thought you wanted to get rid of me, Sharky, she muttered. Again with another stupid nickname. Trust me kid, you'll be grateful you got me instead of one of the others. Who knows if they'd let you live. She just shivers. The first time I'll admit I like her is when I see her practicing her jutsu. She trains like the others do, but it's not at the same rate. Each prisoner's different, but Ino's my favorite. Maybe it's because she's my prisoner. What ya practicing? My hand signs. I need to get quicker, she says, pushing her hair out of her face. Yeah, her hand signs are pathetically slow. But then again, her training method is terrible. Maybe it's because I'm from Kiri that I see it. In Mist you can't go easy. Someone will kill you if you don't get better. You're doing it wrong. No, I'm not. Great, now she's going to yell just what I need. I'll show you how to do it. She looks at me like I've got horns growing out of my head, but someone's got to get her to train. You ready or not, kid? She glares at me but listens anyway. So I train with her, no big deal. So what if she sleeps in bed? Again, it's something all the other captives have to do too. Not necessarily with me but with their guardian. So it's no big deal. Eating with her ain't that big a deal either, nor's talking to her. But I'm not stupid, I can see the idiots staring. They think there's something weird about the whole thing. It's not like I like her. Alright, maybe I do. Not like I love her. Even though she does that weird pout that gets me to give in. Or I actually pay attention to flowers now because she likes them. Nah, she don't mean anything. I can hear the other idiots talking before I see them. She's annoying, yeah. Don't know how Kisame stands her, yeah. What I don't know is how I stand the way you talk, yeah. Deidara really shouldn't talk about annoying. Her heart would make for an excellent replacement for one of the ones I lost. Maybe she could fetch a good price in the slave market. That idiot Kakuzu always thinking about money. The kid may be annoying, but I'd rather put up with her than let him profit of her. She'd make an interesting puppet. Sasori should go make his own prisoner a puppet. Ino's not annoying compared that Sakura girl. Her little healing and super chakra strength are enough to make her a good test subject. Jashin would most likely accept her as a sacrifice. Alright, that's it. That's taking it too far. She's my property and I might not be the most possessive ass around here, but there's no way in hell I'm letting Hidan sacrifice her. I'm run my sword through her first. Kisame will kill you all before you touch her. He likes her. Besides, he's been listening to the whole conversation, so he'll know who to target if she disappears. How the hell did he know? Damn you, Itachi. Kisame? I'm half asleep when she gets back from visiting with the other girls. They're all like that. Even Conan, who I thought had some sense. But women need their girl talk, and why should I complain? Kisame, she's getting louder, and before I know it she'll be screaming. If she wakes up leader or Conan again, I'm a dead man. What? Can't you see I'm sleeping, brat? You're hogging the bed, you selfish fish. That's it. No one calls me a fish. What the hell's your problem? I'm trying to rein it in as I turn towards her. You always complain at night. What the hell did you do to your hair? So that's why she woke me up. Her hair, which once rivaled Deidara and Itachi's in length, has been cut to her shoulders. It makes her look younger than she already is. I used to have it this short when I was a kid before Sakura. I decided to grow it out for Sasuke. Itachi's idiot brother. What was it with these women? The kid obviously had serious problems not to pay attention to them. At least he was aware, though, unlike that idiot QB kid who could never figure out that Itachi's little prisoner liked him. But by the looks she's been giving Itachi, I'd say the kid's forever sworn off fox and converted to weasel. She hits me hard in shoulder. Great, that's where idiot Deidara hit when we were sparring. What the hell, Ino? What do you think? It looks good on her, I'll admit. She no longer looks like she could be Deidara's sister, which always did creep me out. But Ino is Ino, and anything she does makes her look good provided her mouth is shut at the time. It's fine. Apparently that's wrong thing to say. Fine? Fine? That's all it is? She trying to bite my hand as I cover her mouth, but I don't give a damn. This little kunoichi is scary, but she doesn't hold a kunai to a pissed off leader. It looks a lot better than the long hair. Now will you shut up and go to sleep? She doesn't say anything as I let her go, but smiles and cuddles into me. Okay, so I'll admit I love my little loud mouth, not that I'm ever going to tell her that. She'd let it go to her head. Finally sleep in peace. Just me and my girls sleeping without fighting. And then she says it. Night, Tuna-chan. Where I began had always been somewhere blurred between the lines of two individuals that had once been Nagato and Yahiko. I had been both once upon a time. Now I was only pain. She backed away from me. Who? What are you? I swirled eyes only stared back at her in response. I was Nagato. I was Yahiko. She was Konan. The paper blades drew up around her, protecting her from my eyes. Eyes she could not look into. Eyes she would not look into. For in their depths she would see something horrifying. I moved quickly, blocking her path. There was horror in her face and fear. What are you? She whispered again. I am pain. Acceptance has never been easy for Konan, but she's loyal to me. Out of all of Akatsuki, Konan alone do I trust. The others aren't worth my time or my presence. They are mere tools, but Konan is at my beginning. It had been 5 days since my transformation and Konan remained further away from me. Fear was in her scent and anger. But Konan had always been the slightly shy girl with her paper flowers. She couldn't look at me without seeing my past, for I was both Nagato and Yahiko. I was her two best friends rolled into one, and she feared I would make part of me. Stop wallowing, Konan. We don't have the time. Never before I snapped at Konan. Konan was and always had been my fragile flower, but this time I wasn't thinking of her as such a thing. This time I was convinced she deserved my anger. Her eyes avoided mine. Her voice was silent as she stood and followed me through the woods. She would not abandon, never. Konan gazes at me as I watch her with the other kunoichi from a distance. She has been the only girl around for so long I thought she would have forgotten what it was like to be with other females. All of these girls are prisoners, but still they gravitate towards Konan because her ties to Akatsuki aren't hatred or longing for power. Her ties are loyalty to a childhood friend. It is only when she dreams of rain that she seeks me out. A year and a half since my transformation and a few months since I laid the foundation for latest dream does she even dare to move closer to me. I can hear her mumbling in her sleep as she calls out for me. She's not calling for Nagato this time or Yahiko, only for me. Pain, where are you? Please don't leave me here, she murmurs in her sleep. It wakes me from my own dreams and I move closer to her. Konan shakes and shivers as the dream continues calling out for me. Only for me. When I announced my plan, I could feel Konan's shock. The QB child was avoiding us. He was strong and the power of the 9 tails was causing him to accelerate faster than I preferred. The one-tailed gingerkin had been difficult to capture and had understood his demon well, but it was the fact that QB's host was afraid of the demon within him that made him weak. He couldn't understand such a monster was still too human to come to us willingly. We lure him out. The other members of Akatsuki glanced at me. Never did they question my orders, but this time I could see their surprise. No disrespect, Leader Sama, but how do we do this? Sasori's voice was devoid of anything, but he alone dared to ask me. There are 4 kunoichi in his village that he is close to, plus the sister of one-tailed Jinjurukin. Bring them here and leave them to be held hostage in order for him to come. He'll rescue them. Konan spoke, her voice low and attempting to hide her concern, but she never could hide anything. No, I knew my angel far too well. Why not just take the one he's closest? Because the more hostages there are, the more reckless he will become. The members decided on their own who would go after who. I would merely wait for them to bring me the 5 girls. Pain, what is it, Konan? Will you and I go after a kunoichi as well? We have other work to do. She turned, heading out of the meeting room, but I still could hear her whisper. I'll never leave you, Pain. The memories of the war tormented Konan. Her parents had been killed in front of her and she had remained alone until she had met me, which at the time was 2 boys. War had marked her and invaded her nightmares, but as I planned on dominance and taking control of thought of her. She needed to be protected. No one should ever hurt her again, and so I made my move. Her nightmares continued and again she called for me. Again she repeated my name and she begged for me. 2 years after my transformation and the beginning of my dream, and still we weren't close. During the daylight she pretended she wanted nothing to do with me, though she never left. She listened to all of my plans and followed my orders. She obeyed me and moved quickly. But one day it snapped in me. Her ignoring me but begging for me in her dreams. Her need of me and her rejection of me. Why do you stay, Konan? You wish not to be here, but you still stay. Why? Her eyes widened slightly as she gazed at me. For the first time she met my gaze directly, and her eyes I saw my answer. Loyalty. It was written so plainly. I will never leave you, Pain. I watched from the distance as Konan and the other kunoichi splashed around in the lake. Even though she could turn her body into paper, Konan could still be around water. But I had not seen her like this. We were children and in Jiraiya-sensei's care. Konan-sama, were you a captured kunoichi as well? Konan barely turned towards the loud blonde. Curiously I waited for her answer. What would she tell them, this woman that never told me how she truly felt? She was my angel, a title she herself had made. She was the one loyal to me and my partner. She shared a room with me and she alone called me Pain. But never had she referred to me as something other than her leader. I came willingly to Akatsuki. I helped found it. She answered them quietly before leaving the water. Way to go, Ino pig, you upset her. Oh shut up forehead girl, I didn't mean to. You know she doesn't really talk about herself, said Deidara's prisoner. Why should she tell us anything? Retorted Hidan's prisoner, shaking her blonde head. Demo maybe Keikonan-chan doesn't want to talk about it. BBBB besides Itachi-san said she's LLL leader Sama's partner. I didn't listen anymore after the girl stuttered out her thoughts. Instead I went searching for my angel. I heard you and your friends, I said to Konan when I found her in our room. They are all close to their captors. In fact I think that soon there will children running around the headquarters, she said, her eyes avoiding mine. Do you want them dead? Her eyes were filled with tears. I know that you have no use for them now that the plan for the demons has been scrapped, but let them live. Pain had given up on the plan when it became too obvious that Konoha would always have problems and that he had little chance of stopping the Kyuubi. Then why are you crying? She remained quiet. Angel, why are you crying? I want to carry a child, she said in a low voice. I tasted the salt of her tears mixed with the sweetness of her lips. My angel, I'll give you whatever you want. She smiled at me as she kissed me back. I'll never leave you, she whispered. I have always prided myself on never having a weakness. I was always strong. Even in Konoha I was strong. It is strange what would matter to me. Konoha had never been home. How could it be when I was trapped there? Surrounded by the constant pressure to be a genius and an Uchiha every day since the day I was born. I could handle pressure. But my family held me back, trying to control me, and I wasn't one to be controlled. I would have no master but myself. I would choose my own destiny. The clan was a joke. The arrogant Uchiha who policed Konoha maintaining the law. The Uchiha who were stronger than any other clan but refused that strength. I don't regret what happened. How could I? The blood watered the ground in thick rivers. The screams filled the air and echoed through the night. The emotionless Uchiha were afraid and I smiled and gloried in that fear. They were afraid. My blood still runs warm at the memory of their screams and the pleading of my mother. I let Sasuke live because he was the only one there with meaning to me. The only one in that entire family who mattered to me. Shisui had betrayed me, reporting to my father my movements. My Okasan thought me a monster. My Atusan thought me under his control. But I was better than the lot of them. I was an Uchiha and the Sharingan was strong in me. Konoha didn't matter. It wasn't home. It was just a place like other places I had been. Except for the one person who kept my thoughts constantly there. I had never cared for anyone. Or if I had, it hadn't been in the ways a normal person would. Uchihas do not care for people. Respect people, but caring for them is not allowed. Unless you're one of the unnatural ones like my mother and brother, you remain apart. My father taught me that, and even when my katana pierced him I didn't forget that lesson. Shinobi are killers and killers know life has meaning. I've always known life had meaning, but never did it have the same value as death. I was a master of death from a young age. Kill or be killed was the shinobi law. Strength was the goal. Honor resulted in murder count. Other shinobi can lie and not admit themselves killers, but it is in killing that we are shinobi. In the death of others we gain. Shisui's death gave me the Mangekyo. The death of my family gave me my freedom. A killer knows the value of blood, and when spilling it isn't worth the risk. Sasuke's death would have been a mistake. He was my competition. He was the one thing that I could force myself to always face. Never did I have a rival. Never did I have an equal. Only in my brother was there a sign that I would find a worthy opponent. I had my goals and plans. My life was steadily marked by the Akatsuki. And I had my weakness. A weakness named Hinata. I tried not to look at my father. Another day of him bragging about me to some more of his associates. He thought himself the reason for my success. Every one of my achievements belonged to him. I was a genius because he was my father, not because Madara's blood ran through my veins. The meeting of the Konoha clans had just started, and at age 10 I was expected to stand beside my father as his heir. All the heirs were present regardless of age, but I was one of the oldest ones. The heirs to the Hyuga, Aburame, Nara, Akamichi and Yamanaka clans were still small children. They were all around the age of little brother. It was boring and I didn't care for the other clans. They meant nothing to me. The heirs trembled under the watchful gazes of the clan heads, but I stood firm, watching and waiting. The Aburame boy stayed near his father. The Yamanaka girl played with her doll. The Nara kid rolled his eyes and muttered something about this being troublesome. The Akamichi kid was eating a bag of potato chips. The Inuzuka clan heir, a girl around my age, was watching them, trying to keep them in line. The only one of the heirs that was interesting was the little Hyuga girl who remained at a distance. She was watching the meeting, her white eyes taking in everything. She would be interesting one to keep watch on. When the orders came, I wasn't surprised. The other Jinnaruki and Biju were easy to catch with exception of Uzumaki Naruto. Uzumaki always seemed to know when we were coming. He was strong, courtesy of not only the fox but also the Yodame's blood. But he was soft like the Yodame had been. He was loyal to the village and he would rescue any one of his friends who fell into dangerous hands. His obsession with catching my brother proved that. The plan was a good one and I knew what leader expected. He expected me to target Uzumaki's female teammate, but I had no interest watching over that girl. Leader's words rang in my head. Uchiha, make sure you and Hoshigaki capture more than one. After all, you both failed to bring in the Kyuubi. The threat wasn't even subtle. Leader expected us to make up for our failure. I already knew who I was going to target, but it was doubtful that Kisame had selected anyone. It wasn't in his nature to make such decisions. He attacked first and used strategy later. My mind thought back to that clan meeting long ago. My target hadn't been the only female heir present. It was then I made up my mind. Kisame and I would capture the Yamanaka first, and then I would pursue my own target. It was easy to capture Yamanaka, hardly a challenge, and even when Kisame complained, I merely left her in his care before going after my own target. I heard the sniffling in the park before I was even near it. It had 3 months since the last clan meeting and already I could tell it was the cries of the Hyuga heiress. I had been watching her from a distance ever since the day I met her. She was quiet most of the time, but then there was now. I hated tears. I hated when my mother spilt them after arguing with my father. I hated when my brother wept. Tears were weakness. Why are you crying? Uchiha-san, I didn't mean to. Why are you crying? My Okasan is dead. She died this morning after having my sister. Her mother? She was crying because of her mother. Crying won't bring her back. Hi, does it make you feel better? No, come then. I took her to mother, who coddled her and then took her home later that night. That had been the first and only time I had ever spoken to her. I had seen her a lot afterwards as I still watched her. She was a pretty little thing, but it was obvious she had no great talent as a ninja. She would, however, make a good wife and mother to someone, and I was sure Hiyashi knew this. Years later, when I returned to Konoha to kidnap Uzumaki, I saw her again. She was surrounded by her 2 teammates, an Aburame and an Inuzuka, and it was obvious she was the weakest. I could have kidnapped her then. She had been the only person from that damn village I ever thought of daily. Even Sasuke was a passing thought that happened maybe once a month or twice a week. But I didn't approach her. Uzumaki was the target. I'd grab her later when I had the chance. Leader had given me such a chance. I could hear her sobbing. It had been 3 days since I first captured her and still she shed tears. In some ways she reminded me of my brother. He too had wept when the world felt hopeless to him. They were both weak, unlike me. I had always known that there were 2 types of people in the world. The killers and the ones that were killed. I was one of the killers and my prisoner was one of the ones that would be killed. Please Uchiha-san, let me go back to Naruto-kun and the others, she stuttered, biting back her sobs. Silence was the only answer I gave her. In her sleep she wept for the Kyuubi and I learned to hate his name. Her precious Naruto-kun, who she was sure would save her from me. I could already tell how she felt about him. She had used him as a pedestal, a crutch, to make herself stronger. This weak little heiress named a failure by her own clan couldn't make herself strong. Instead, she looked at the example of the dead last as strength. Such weakness I wasn't used to. Such weakness I hated. Get up. Still she slept, the tears silently dripping down her face. I shook her, my hands grasping her shoulders and squeezing hard. Get up. Her eyes opened. Are we moving? She stuttered out. Stop stuttering. She trembled more violently. Stop trembling. My temper was on the edge. She was so weak. Weak like Sasuke had been. Weakness that would get her killed. Still she trembled more. She was trying to stop it but she couldn't. She yelped as I pulled her off the ground and shoved her against a nearby tree. You are too weak to be a shinobi. Shinobi cannot show fear but you show it so easily. Fear leads the killers to the prey. You fear your own capabilities. The Hyuga taught you well, weakling. I let her go, then turning from her. The kunai came at me fast. I don't know how she had managed to hide it from me for this long, but she had been waiting for the right moment. I caught it without even looking. I am not weak, she said, her white eyes glaring at me. A weakling waits to be rescued and doesn't take the risk of saving themselves. I walked deeper into the woods. She does what I expected her to do. She runs trying to escape me, thinking that she can. She doesn't get far before I corner her. Again I press her against a tree and she trembles against me, trying to struggle. So weak that you couldn't even make use of the opportunity I gave you. Her eyes are glistening with tears. She's trying to hold herself together and she fails like she always does. You should know that the strong always conquer the weak. I whisper, moving my face closer to hers so she is forced to gaze into the Sharingan. I hate you. I bit back my smirk. So the little stuttering heiress had some bite to her. You can't hate anyone, I reply as my lips trap hers. She's in shock but she doesn't fight me. She can't fight me. I'm strong. She's weak. I let her go and she backs away with fear in her eyes. She grows quieter and more sullen over the days. At night she still cries for the QB but her whimpers are becoming less frequent. He won't come for her. She knows that he'll go after Sakura first because the kid is that predictable. What happened to you? The words ring through the woods even though she's barely uttered them. I was tired of pretending for my clan. For a long while she is quiet. I remember that you used to smile but you don't now. I always envied Sasuke because you used to carry him when he got hurt practicing. Neji Nisan would never do that for me. I played the role of a good big brother. Itachi-san, you and I both know that you love your brother. Perhaps. She is still the same little heiress I watched as a child. She is still the same girl I was obsessed with. Her hair is longer and her body has filled but her smile is the same. If her smile is the same, that means her soul is untainted. And I find myself without the desire to taint her. She still shakes in her sleep and cries, but it's not because of her captivity. She's come to accept that fact of life. Now it is because of nightmares. Even without the Magekyon I can see her thinking about her clan. In her nightmares she moves closer to me and at some point the distance between where we slept became non-existent. She slept like an angel with her arms wrapping around me. I wasn't used to it. I had never been used to it. The only person who had ever hugged me was my brother. She pulled closer to me, burying her face into my chest. Every morning she would turn bright red when she realized where she was sleeping, but it never stopped happening. She used me as a pillow and a security blanket. The fact that I made her feel safe was laughable. Still, even as we march closer to the rendezvous point, she is fighting herself. She tries to distance herself from, but she is failing miserably. I'm the only comfort she has here and she knows it. Her tears stream down far onto the floor. I won't be used as bait, she whimpers. Not like you have a choice, my little weakness, I laugh. She is strong one minute and weak the next. Even now that we are with Kisame and that blonde twit, Hinata still cowers. She hides behind me, scared of Kisame, or maybe she is just used to me by now. I won't let you hurt, Naruto-kun. Her eyes harden, making her look all the more striking. Why would you protect that brat? He will never care for you like you care for him. Her eyes soften as she looks at the floor. Naruto-kun is good. He cares about everyone and he is loyal, so I will be loyal to him. I want to shake and force it out of her. Her loyalty to that fool was useless. Naruto had ignored her. I force against the wall and again I kiss her. I'm not kind to her. Never am I kind to her. She doesn't need to be treated like a China doll. That only makes her seem weaker than she actually is. She gazes at me in horror. You are mine and I'm not letting you go. She only nods. In time though she grows to like me. Eventually she kisses me on her own, no longer terrified that I'll hurt her. The first time I use the Mangekyon on her, I show her how much I desire her, and for once she doesn't blush or faint but gives in to me. From then on she knows she belongs to me. She doesn't beg for the Kyuubi brat to come get her. She knows he won't, and she seems to think she belongs here with me. She was playing in the water with the kunoichis. Her pale skin not being tanned by the sun. She was still fragile but not so weak. She trained day after day and I encouraged it. She couldn't be weak. Itachi-kun, she exclaims as she runs up and hugs me. Gomenase, I didn't mean to get you wet. I shrug. The water doesn't bother me. Did you enjoy your swim? Arigato for letting me go. It was fun, but, demo, I wish I could have swam with you. My eyebrows raise. Why? Because I missed you while I was in the water. I smirk as she continues to hug me, burying her face in my chest. She is my weakness and I am her strength. A puppet without strings to pull was what she was to me. A perfect doll that I could only look at but never touch. A doll that longed to belong to me. But the beginning of the situation I found myself in didn't start with something like the innocent smile of a child. No, it started with a fight and me almost dying. I have always been an artist, a creator. My puppets have been my weapons, my art, and my constant. They cannot hurt me like real people can. Not like Chio or my parents did. To my puppets I am their creator and not just another shinobi to be blindly ordered about. Suna had nothing for me. There was no life there amidst the doom of sand. There was nothing but the bland taste of dirt and the stink of death. The village was a prison, a cultural wasteland where a true artist couldn't be appreciated. I wasn't like the others. I didn't hate my village. I had no reason to. Suna didn't mean anything to me. It was just a place. It was just a memory. Living things had never interested me. Not until that day when I was defeated by a scrap of a girl with pink hair. A girl that would make a perfect addition to my collection of puppets, and an old woman who I would not acknowledge as family. But the girl with the fiery green eyes and the bright cotton candy hair was something different. There was power in her and beauty. She was one of the few who earned the title of kunoichi, strong and yet female. I was going to make her my greatest piece of art. She glared back at me in my dreams. Her green eyes focused on my destruction. Such beautiful fury that should be immortalized as a piece of art. She needed that immortality so I could always look at her. She would never leave me if she was my doll. She was younger than I had been when I betrayed my village, but she had strength. Careful Sakura, Sasori has many tricks, Chio said to her in hushed tones. Sakura, the name suited her, the cherry blossom. Blossoms don't always get to bloom, I said as she charged towards me. I don't remember much after the attack from the puppets that had been my parents. They were my first dolls, my first attempt to create something living. I was alone as a child with only Chio Basin as company. She taught me my art and for that I was grateful to her, but I didn't love her. I had wanted parents. I had wanted warm arms to hug me without my pulling at the strings, and Chio knew this. I didn't die though. No, I just drifted. Creation and oblivion mixed in brilliant shades, and all I could remember was pink. Another meeting with the Akatsuki and leader, and another day of Sasori Dana. He was driving me crazy. It's not like I hate Deidara, but his hero worship of me was annoying. I didn't deserve such a thing. I held no affection for living things. They just passed out existence in the breath of a few seconds according to the world's timetable. Puppets lasted longer. Ideas were eternal. Art was a constant. Leader was there waiting for us to get serious. Who are you going to get, Sasori Dana? It doesn't matter, Deidara, just as long as we bring someone in. What becomes of them after we get the Kyuubi? Who cares? I plan on making mine a puppet. Deidara gasped. I'll give him this. He's always entertaining. I could see Itachi before I could hear him. He was near and was hiding in the darkened area of the woods. I should have known you would have come here, Sasori-san. I take you're interested in the one with the unusual bloodline? Itachi merely nodded. Sometimes I wondered why I couldn't get a partner like him. He was quiet, unlike Deidara, who would talk to a corpse with he thought it would answer him back. Your interest is in the Kyuubi's playmate? Trust Itachi to be able to read the situation. He may be going blind, but nothing escaped him. If you attack, I said, then the Kyuubi will focus on you since he thinks that with you around then he can convince your brother to come home. True, then you can sneak in and tie them up with chakra strings. But the dangerous ones are the Junin. Both were Anbu. There is no problem. If we are each other's distractions, then we can both achieve our objects. Sasori-san, I expect that this will be easy with the two of us. But don't think I owe you. Never Uchiha. Capturing her wasn't too difficult. Itachi's distraction gained me time, and as I used chakra infused with the soil to grip the others, it became child's play. I didn't watch as the Uchiha took the other girl. I didn't really care. I had my new doll. She opened her green eyes and pulled out a kunai. Aren't you supposed to be dead? Haven't you missed my puppet? I would never miss you. I want you dead. She charged at me, the kunai flailing. I gripped her shoulders and used a chakra string to pull the kunai out of her grip. She swings her fists up at her. Her chakra was infused in the punches and she charged in order to hit my face. I attached chakra strings to her body and made her immobile. Fight me all you want, Blossom, but you belong to me. I will win this battle. I will break you. Make no mistake about that. Sakura's green eyes narrowed with hatred. She was no man's belonging. She was no man's puppet. Her mind flashed to the memory of dark eyes. Dark eyes that she had sacrificed so much for. Dark eyes that had never shown her any emotion. There was no tenderness in Sasuke's eyes. There was no caring. In Naruto's blue eyes there had been admiration, but he didn't know her. Naruto saw only the good things in her. Never would he see the small pitiful girl she was. Sakura glanced at the deep eyes of her captor and for once didn't see worship or hatred but merely interest. She had never felt like that before. I watched her sleep. There was no point to make her skin wood or turn her into a doll. Breathing, she was more beautiful than anything I could ever create. Leader had already announced that I could keep her with me. I had decided to treat as I would anything. At first, making her my newest puppet was my goal. Now I had other plans. She would be my doll, but she would always be with me. I planned on making her mine. I didn't notice the green eyes opening. I didn't until she bit my skin. She clawed and thrashed. It was the same every morning since I had taken her. She kicked and flew through the air. The killing intent radiated off her as she threw herself on me. She scratched my skin. She bit and gripped at my hair and fought like a demon. All the while I laughed. You are too soft. You are too weak. Even with Tsunade's techniques she still couldn't hurt me. She was just too angry to concentrate. My little doll, how you grow tired. She didn't taste the drug on my lips as I kissed her. She tired to bite me and push me off, but she was too weak. The drug was coursing through her veins. Her eyes rolled back into her head as I focused chakra and made her unconscious. Precious little doll, don't do anything. You will always belong to me. She glared at me. She hated me now. My little doll hated that she belonged to me. I wasn't going to let my perfection go. She was a doll, a toy, and she belonged to me. The first thing to go was that red dress. I hated that dress. It covered too much of my doll. I was becoming obsessed, but Leader told me she was mine. She fought me every inch of the way. But now she had made another move against me. You went to Leader. It wasn't a question, but I could see her start to shake. Why did you do that, my Blossom? Sasori, don't. Sakura, you belong to me. She nodded as I looked at her. I could see the fire in her green eyes. She wasn't one to be easy or dominated like Itachi's prisoner, nor was she someone prone to mood swings like Hidan's prisoner. She wasn't the sweetheart or the loud mouth. She was Sakura, and I wouldn't trade her. It was then that she kissed me. Sakura trembled as she woke up that morning. Her body was a mess. She had been sleeping next to Sasori and she could feel his hands snake around her waist. His touch was like a lightning rod. It pulled as an invisible force and she couldn't ignore him. She gazed at the features of the man she knew wasn't quite a man but not quite a monster. Sasori had never attacked her. Not even when she raced at him with kunai. She was prepared to kill him, but he simply just shoved her away. She had heard the others talk of their captors. Escape? Forehead girl, I knew you were crazy, but this is the icing on the cake. Have you forgotten that there are more of them? They're S-class ninja. None of us are. So you're content on rotting here, Ino pig? Ino glared at her. There is no point. Besides, they haven't hurt us. Sharky's alright once you get past his pissed off attitude. You're attached. I can't believe that you didn't take that training seriously, Ino pig. All kunoichi are told never to get attached to their captor. Never get attached. Are you such an idiot that you can't remember that? Never get attached. WW, what if WWE do become AAA attached? Sakura glanced at the tomato red Hyuga. Hinata, you can't be serious. You're Itachi's prisoner. I know I'm Itachi-san's PPP prisoner, but There is no buts. Hinata. He hurt Sasuke-kun. He killed his clan. He's a monster. Hinata's hand snapped towards Sakura's face. Her white eyes went cold. Itachi-san never denied DD doing those things BBB, but he's not a monster. The others stared in shock at the Hyuga. Gentle Hinata was the last one they expected to do such a thing. Look, Sakura. I hate my captor as much as you hate yours, but there isn't much of a chance for us to escape. We have to wait and see what happens, Tamari said as she hugged Hinata. Not all of our captives are like yours and Temari's. I mean, Deidara's never threatened me, Tenten said. I didn't say he threatened me. It's just we're bait for Naruto. There is nothing we can do about that forehead girl. Right now we have to keep alive. Sakura stomped off. She couldn't understand. The others didn't want to admit that they were too attached. She had seen Ino and Kisame training. She could hear the arguments between Hidan and Tamari. Tenten's laughter mixed with the sound of explosions wasn't easy to ignore. Nor could she pretend that she hadn't seen Hinata kiss Itachi. And there were her own infractions. She remembered being allowed in Sasori's workshop. No one was ever allowed down there, but Sakura had seen Sasori with his workshop and his puppets. They're beautiful. They're not supposed to be beautiful. They're weapons. She had never seen him like that. He was an artist. Sakura shook. She didn't want to care about Sasori. She had promised that she would protect Sasuke and Naruto. Sasori didn't enter the equation. She gazed once again at his sleeping face and shook at the realization. He needed someone to look after him. I found her watching me as I slept. Can I help you? You told you owned me. You said that you would win. There was no use fighting against you. But I fought. What is your point? Her eyes avoided looking at me, darting around. Why haven't you broken me like you said you would? How did I tell her that breaking her would ruin her? She needed to be whole so that she could be mine. She was the greatest piece in collection. The only living doll I would ever own. I do not break my things. She gazed at me, her eyes written with fear. Relax, my little doll, I said as my lip moved down her neck. You belong to me. She shivered slightly, but she kissed me in return. I had won. She came back to me, her green eyes full of light. Sakura was by nature a social person, and her need to be with the others was something I couldn't understand. I preferred to be alone. I was most comfortable with my puppets or Sakura. No one else ever entered my sanctuary. I was an island, but my blossom was different. She would wilt if she had no companionship, and though she was fiercely loyal to me, she needed to gossip. She needed the companionship only other females could give. So I let her be with them even though I hated the time they stole from me. My afternoon, however, was basically spent repairing my puppets. Deidara, that blasted moron, thought that an exploding puppet would look interesting. It's art, yeah, that's all he had said as he blew up one of my newest creations. I hope his prisoner uses him for target practice. Her aim is very good and I'm sure she'd be able to hit him. Art is a bang, yeah. Next time I'll kill him. I'll stuff him and harden his skin. I'll make him a puppet. Then he'll last forever and that will be torment for him. At least then he'd be true art. Bent over the new puppet, painting on the face and installing some of the weapons. Kunai would spring out of traps. A few flicks of my fingers and I would be able to kill in a moment. Warm lips brushed against mine and forced me away from my work. Hands ran through my hair and a tongue purged my mouth. She smelled faintly of water and sunlight, the most beautiful of all my possessions. I take it you enjoyed swimming. Sakura only smirked as she sat in my lap. It was so much fun, sorry. I wish you had been there. I don't like to swim. She wrinkled her nose and then she laughed. Her laugh made my pulse race faster. Of course my scorpion doesn't like water, she whispered as she leant in to kiss me again. She curled into me afterwards, sighing as sleep hit her. And it was then that I first saw true art. The first time I saw her I respected her. She had her hair up in those buns and those two annoying teammates and that whacked out sensei, but she was different, yeah. Even now that I know her better, she still is a surprise. I mean, she's like all things, temporary, fading, affecting time and place in one big bang that was beautiful. She was definitely not what I was looking for, yeah. I've never been one for long-standing relationships, yeah. There's been a few, and I mean very few, women that could hold my attention or understand me. Everything has always been like art, not lasting long. Sure, there had been a couple girls here and there, but they weren't important. In reality, no one is important except for someone like her. She was perfect, yeah. She was the perfect desire for me. She could be like smoke. Disappear in an instant and reappear in a second. She's a bang, yeah. Definitely a bang. Course at the beginning I thought she was part of the stupidest plan ever thought of in the existence of the Akatsuki, yeah. It started like any other meeting, yeah. There were the usual arguments. Was Kazuka hoarding? Was Hidan too extreme? Did Itachi Teme need to crack a smile? Then leader Sama comes up with this big plan. Capture the little brat's female friends and hold them hostage, yeah. The QB is at the age of falling in love. Personally I think Konan-chan let leader get into the liquor and allowed him to rot his brain, yeah. He didn't seem to have it together. I didn't want to hear it. Really this plan to capture the QB was utter stupidity. Donna was trying to remain calm and collected while refraining from rolling his eyes. Wish I could do that. This is nuts. Deidara. Yes, Donna? Sasori looked at me calmly. We are splitting up for this mission. You need to capture your own kunoichi. But Donna, I really didn't like this, can't we just go together? Absolutely not. Your distractions and technique would cause more trouble than I need. Come on, I whined. No, I need to capture her and I need to do without your interference. Who in the world would it be that hard to capture? None of kunoichi were considered particularly strong except for. I grinned. Donna is so obvious to read. Going after her, yeah? Well good luck, yeah. Don't let her get another shot at you like last time, yeah. He glared at me before heading out. This was going to be interesting, yeah. Definitely interesting. Donna of course had been fantasizing about that pink-haired kunoichi for months, yeah. He didn't think I knew but it was slightly obvious when he attempted to make a puppet that was her double, yeah. I had met my target before too. Found her slightly interesting, yeah. Who wouldn't when there were so few weapon experts, yeah. She would be easy to find, yeah. Especially with the constant screams of Guy-sensei and Lee around her. Scouting through Konoha I found her teammates. The stuck of Hyuga prodigy was reminded me way too of Itachi Teme. Itachi was bloody dirty tricks and genjutsu. Then were the green-clad idiots, yeah. She wasn't with them. Putting myself out in the middle of town was a bad idea. Didn't want to alert the Hokage. Heard about her from Donna and she sounded scary, yeah. Whoever heard of a person who could bring down a wall by herself? I found her out in the middle nowhere going for a run. Her hair was in those buns and she was grinning, yeah. She was anything but defenseless. I launched a dozen clay birds at her but she countered them each with a kunai. She moved quick, her brown eyes narrowing. I had hoped that the explosion would knock her out, yeah. She countered quickly and moved fast as she summoned her weapons. I don't know how long we fought or how many times I found that kunoichi to be troublesome, yeah. She was insane. When I finally knocked her out, I still had a few days to return to base. Of course she wasn't an easy prisoner. Couldn't do what I wanted her to from the start. I didn't expect her to wake up so quickly, yeah. Not even an hour from Konoha and she was awake. Her brown eyes were so hard and she was glaring at me. I didn't even have time to react as she said weapons at me. Every one of my clay birds was hit with a kunai perfectly. The loud bang of my art and the sound of her blades whizzing through the air was enough to drive anyone crazy. 3 days of constantly fighting and her driving me crazy were enough. You could at least eat, yeah. What's the point so I can get feed to those mouths on your hands? She asked bitterly. I started laughing. This was ridiculous. The girl thought I was a cannibal. She cracked a smile as if to tell me she was teasing. I smiled back. Maybe she wasn't so bad. Wrong member, yeah. I'm Deidara. Tenten. I reached out shake her offered hand. She drew a kunai at me and threw it thinking my guard was down. I barely had time to duck. I knocked her out after that and didn't talk to her at all. Thank Kami, I can get rid of her at base. Then leader drops the bombshell on us. He wants each kunoichi to be given to some type of guardian to watch over. I'm ready to get rid of her, yeah. She's cut me up and down. She's wrecked my art. She's driven me crazy with her silence. I don't care who get her, yeah. Then I saw him. Zetsu was looking at Tenten like she was his latest meal. It was annoying, yeah, how he like Itachi didn't even consider me a threat. I couldn't let her be left with someone like that even if she never did what she was told and tried to make me a human pincushion, yeah. Besties she wasn't all bad. She cried at night when she thought I was asleep. During the day she'd be tough but at night she was just a frightened captive. She didn't give up her small shreds of hope though. She had hope for teammates to come rescue her, yeah. She wanted them to rescue her but she wanted to be strong enough to rescue herself. Come on Tenten, yeah. Her eyes practically exploded out of her head. You want me to come with you? It was barely a whisper, but I couldn't help but grin, leading her towards my quarters. The inner halls of the new Akatsuki base were big enough for me to share my space with Tenten. The hundreds of clay birds and dolls I had were scattered around the room. I liked making them for practice and honing my skills, besides more art was better than nothing. Tenten's eyes widened even more. You really are the mad bomber type, aren't you? Art's a bang. She just stared at me before walking around and looking at the many clay figures. You made all these? Yeah, who else? The work on these is very extensive, but you blow them up, doesn't that defeat the purpose? Are you crazy? It's art, and art is temporary. It's not stagnant. These things, she said, pointing around at my work, are weapons. Art, yeah, weapons. Art, weapons. Alright, I was so going to win this one. Is a properly formed sword not art, yeah? She remained silent and then she smiled. Alright, you win. So how does it work? Explaining my art was the beginning of us becoming friends. I didn't know much about her at first, but soon I found out the little things, yeah. The little things are always good. She liked chocolate ice cream covered in layers of whipped cream. Her favorite food was calamari tempura sushi. Her favorite color was pink, and she was an orphan, and she had the goal of being the best weapons mistress in Konoha. Then one morning I couldn't find her. It was weird, yeah. We did share the same room and even the same bed, but she was gone. Donna, Tenten's ran off, yeah, I said, shouting at Sasori as I barged into his room. He was alone for once. Sakura was setting up the medical center with the assistance of Hinata and Ino. I doubt that, Deidara. I didn't think you'd care. Not care? Donna, this is Tenten. She's special, yeah. Sasori rolled his eyes. You are such a drama queen. Go check the training area. Hi, Donna. She was throwing her kunai at the targets in the Akatsuki training yard with Leader. Lately I had seen her talking more and more with Leader. Apparently she wanted to know what he knew about weapons. She had noticed that he was more of a ninjutsu user, but Conan had told her about Leader's fascination with kenjutsu. It's nice that Pain made friends with her. I turned towards Conan. It was strange that Leader even wanted to be friends with anyone, but Tenten had that effect, yeah. Look at that Teme Itachi. As soon as Tenten found out he was the guardian for her friend Hinata, she had introduced herself to him. The Uchiha asshole's stoic face had filled with shock. I still have the pictures, yeah. The other kunoichi were terrified of him, and here was my Tenten introducing herself. I can't even stand him, and she was talking weapons with him while Hinata worked on the chakra in his eyes. Then there was Zetsu, yeah. Zetsu wasn't fond of people as anything other than a meal, and Tenten had become the one person he liked to have around. And now Leader. The only one of the kunichis I was friends with was Sasori, Donna's prisoner, Sakura. She enjoyed using my clay to make things. Not true art because they were supposed to be long-lasting, yeah. Still, she was fun, just not as fun as Tenten, yeah. She makes friends with everyone, doesn't she, Deidara-kun? Conan asked. Yeah, she's special like that, I answered. It's nice that Pain has someone to practice weapons with. Besides, she's really nice, she's more insightful than any of the others. I nodded, still watching her train. Days turned into weeks and then months. I was so used to Tenten right now that it didn't even throw me when she cuddled up into me when I slept. I was always on guard, yeah. I had been on guard since I left Iwa. Dei-kun? I turned towards my half-awake companion. What, Ten-chan? She smiled slightly. Do you think I'm playing? What? Is she crazy, yeah? No. She almost fell out of the bed. Everyone always says that it's so easy to forget me. Who was the idiot that told her that? I'd personally explode them myself. They would go up in a fiery blaze. Were they stupid, yeah? Here was art, yeah. Here was a brown-eyed goddess, yeah. The world is full of idiots, yeah. She smiles at me, pecking me on the cheek. Thanks, Dei-kun. From there on out it was okay to admit I loved her, yeah. She's coming, yeah. This time she's coming, and it's because she's been there with that giggling mess that is the girls. Not that I mind, yeah. She can have her own friends. She's like art, fleeting and disappearing, yeah. I don't want to share, yeah, that's it. I don't want to share. Who am I kidding? She is my only constant, yeah. The only thing in my life I don't want to disappear. The damn Akatsuki that idiot Itachi suckered me into could disappear tomorrow and I would find myself happy, yeah. If Tenten disappeared, I think I'd explode myself. Definitely explode myself, yeah. She's in the water now, splashing around, her buns soaked with water. Her eyes are bright like fresh clay. I can watch all I want, yeah. I can enjoy the view of my person. When she saw me, she launched herself out of the water like a kanai and ran towards me. She's giggling and batting those big brown eyes. Brown eyes, yeah, the eyes of a goddess. Sasori Donna said her eyes are pretty and that's something, yeah, but I think they're gorgeous. She's going to tease me or maybe throw weapons at me. I don't think I've made her angry, yeah. Deidara-kun. She jumps on me smiling and grinning and batting her clay brown eyes and laughing and being happy, never a constant my Tenten. She's happy. So very happy, yeah, and I like to think it's me who makes her happy. She grins a bright grin and her beauty that is neither permanent or fleeting. She kissed me again and I was happy. For the first time since I was in Iwa, I felt safe. Amazing that it's because of my little weapons mistress. Akatsuki never mattered to me. Why would I give a fuck? Akatsuki was just another organization and it gave me free rein to kill. And killing was fun and entertaining. The blood pouring on the ground and the screams in the air made my blood race. In my prayers to Jashin, I begged for more enemies. The more I killed, the more I worshipped him, unlike all the heathens of the hidden villages. I've never met a person I didn't want to sacrifice. Jashin deserved as many sacrifices as he could be given and I gave him all I could. A god of murder and god who granted me the ability to live, that was Jashin. Each ritual was necessary. Each prayer I offered bought me more and more time. Every moment the Great One allowed me to live longer was paid for in blood. I didn't care for these other fuckers surrounding me. They were all heathens. They believed in nothing and those shitheads knew nothing about strength. I didn't care for these bastards I had to deal with. They all could shut their fucking mouths. The only one I respected was Leader and his bitch. Leader because he was leader and his bitch because she was leaders. Everyone else was fair game. Everyone else was a possible sacrifice, including that asshole Kakuzu. Him and his bloody gold can go down into the fiery depths that are reserved are all non-believers. I had made the sacrifices and proven my loyalty to Jashin. Never had I met anyone who I wasn't willing to sacrifice, and as my reward the Jashin thought to give me her. Damn it, maybe she is a reward or maybe she's my punishment, but at least she's something. If only I could figure out what the hell she was. You'd think at my age I'd get it, but apparently not. Of course she's a spitcracker, but then again, aren't they all? Women. Even after hundreds of years I shouldn't be surprised by them, but her. I won't even charge her rent or sell her into slavery. She would fetch a good price as long as I gagged her. She awes the body of a harder worker or a pleasure slave. Hell, she probably would escape in one day or drive her master into suicide. Yet here she is and I'm unable to get rid of her. I could have grandchildren her age and I don't give a rat's ass. She's what she is. She carries herself well too, but then again, what would I expect from a case cage's daughter and the sister to another case cage? She's been raised to behavior with her bossy don't you dare refuse me attitude. No one's probably ever stopped her. How can you stop a tornado from running you over? You can't. She's even gotten me to spend on her. My money. Money makes the world go round and she is costing me. Selling her to the highest bidder wouldn't even bring in the right amount. Not only would they not pay for what she is worth, but they would fail to see what the hell they have on their hands. This damn Spitfire from Suna needs to be carted off along with Hidan to a mental institution because they are driving me crazy. The meeting with the Akatsuki was, far as Hidan was concerned, with total bullshit. My prayers and ritual didn't need to interrupted for this. Jashin will strike you heathens down for interrupting. Shut up. Hidan turned to look at his glaring partner. What the hell is your problem? Kisame was trying to bite back a laugh. Itachi, look, the zombie twins are at it again. The Uchiha only rolled his eyes before turning back to Leader. This is a waste of money. This entire plan is costing the Akatsuki too much to be carried out. The Leader, however, did not look pleased. Kakuzu, look at how much time and money this will save us in the end. Besides, if we do not capture the Kyuubi, then Akatsuki is done for. Kakuzu ignored the Leader's words. Kyuubi was necessary but expensive. Fuck this. Hidan shouted. I will find myself the perfect sacrifice in these women. After Kyuubi's capture I will give them to Jashin. Kakuzu turned. Let the idiot get killed. He had a bounty to collect. Tamari groaned as she headed off to Konoha. It was the first time in 6 months that she had been there. Actually, the first time since she had dumped. He most certainly had not dumped her. She didn't care what he claimed. That idiot thought he was going to do better than her. She should have killed him at the Chunin exams years ago. Shikamaru Nara in favor of life as a single kunoichi. Life as a single was so much fun. She tried not gag at the thought. Men just plain avoided her because of her brothers. Gaara would only glare, and then any prospective boyfriend. Kankuro would make up stories about his puppets and say he hoped to follow in the footsteps of Akasuna no Sasori. So here she was on the road to Konoha with no boyfriend, a scroll that she didn't know what it said, a guaranteed encounter with her ex. Yes, life was great. Someone just throw a shuriken at her now and ended this entire thing. You hear me? Death would be more enjoyable than a boring life in Suna. She didn't shut it, more like muttered it. Her eyes narrowed as she heard the sound of metal. I can arrange your death. Tamari grabbed her fan quickly and prepared a wind jutsu. Hidan ducked as her summon attacked. The wind ripped around him, but he merely did a flip. He couldn't use his curse technique on her. Tamari wasn't too concerned about doing damage. She was still a considerable distance to Konoha. Part of her reasoned that she should make a run for the village and try to gain distance between her and this Akatsuki member. The closer she was to Konoha, the more likely that she would get reinforcements. Still, she could possibly bring in this guy by herself. Hidan attacked quickly while Tamari was strategizing. A dozen kunai came flying at her, but Tamari merely dodged the kunai. She thought about using the three-moon technique, but do so might leave her low on chakra. Instead, she launched Senbon at him and prepared to take cover in the woods. Hidan was becoming impatient. The fight was entertaining, but he had to bring this girl back to the base. Tamari slowly regained consciousness a few hours later. If he thinks I'm going to just obey his every wish, then he's got another thing going. Who the hell are you? I'm not interested in a heathen like you. You've interrupted my prayers. Tamari blinked. So this was the man that Shikamaru had told her about. You're the one who killed Asuma Sarutobi. I should have known. So what do you want with me? I am praying to Jashin. I don't have time to talk, bitch. Pray to a god that doesn't exist. Tamari spit in his face. Hidan glared as he moved away from her. Jashin would grant him patience, soon he'd be rid of her and she'd be a new sacrifice. Leader's announcement regarding the placement of the kunoichi was enough to make Hidan scream. I have to keep the bitch? No one else is going to take her, Leader replied. You had better keep her with you. Hidan glared at he led Tamari away from the group. For 2 months they tolerated each other. But then one day Tamari snapped. Bitch, get over here. I don't answer to that, Tamari said, not even looking at Hidan. Come here, make me. Tamari glared at him. They had taken her weapons from her and the others weeks ago, but she wasn't afraid. Hidan was just another mindless drone. Hidan grabbed her arms and started to drag her towards him. Tamari killed him the shin and jerked herself out of his grip. Don't you dare touch me. I can do what I want. You belong to Akatsuki. Besides, you have no worth. Heathen. He had called her heathen since day one and she was tired of it. Your god is so good. Yeah, right. He's just another excuse for you to kill. I've heard about your psycho religion. It's a hoax. Hidan's eyes grew even colder. You will not blaspheme Jashin. Hidan prepared the jutsu, the curse in full activation as he attacked her. I'm tired of you, fucking bitch. Jashin will welcome such a sacrifice. Tamari could feel the air crush out of her lungs. She had heard about this jutsu from Shikamaru. Once he gets you in the symbol, then whatever happens to him affects you. He is the only one that can stop the curse. Tamari's stomach tightened. She wasn't going to let this fool intimidate her. She didn't fear anyone. She was Gaara of the Desert's sister and she wasn't going to break. Never thought I'd die like this. At least it will be peaceful, but this asshole might draw it out. She braced herself for the attack. Hidan grabbed her across the throat. If she wasn't going to attack him, then he would finish her there. You really want to die, don't you? Tamari tried to pry his hand off her throat. His grip tightened as he watched the air drain out her lungs. She was beginning to turn a lovely shade of blue. Chakra strings jerked him off her, sending him flying into a tree, breaking his jutsu. Sasori, Hidan hissed as he gazed at his red-headed teammate. He prepared to charge when he felt a powerful chakra behind him. Pain had his Rinnegan activated and his eyes were piercing through Hidan. His anger was evident as Sakura walked over to Tamari. The girl was trembling as she glared at Hidan. Sakura tended to her friend as Sasori kept Hidan pinned with the chakra strings. The girl was terrified and Pain was angry. Hidan had been ordered to keep his temper, but as usual. Hidan, we have to talk now. Sasori snapped his strings back. Hidan followed leader, barely saying anything. "Come on Tamari," Sakura said softly. The Suna Kuonichi followed closely. She could still feel his hand on her throat. Sakura wrapped an arm around her friend and took her towards the medic wing where Konan and other girls were waiting. Tamari fell asleep to whisperings of her friends and the gentle hands of the three medic nins. The other members of Akatsuki stood outside the door hearing Hidan's screams. Leader was well perfected in the art of torture. "He deserves it," Sasori said. "What did he do, Donna?" Sasori glanced at Deidara. He was trying to strangle his prisoner. The other Akatsuki captors felt themselves twitch. "There are days when I want to kill that loudmouth but never," Kisame said. "I doubt any of us would, yeah. Hidan has never been predictable," Itachi said. Kakuzu looked at them. "Hidan's an idiot," he said point blank. Hidan was laying in the middle of leader's office after just regaining consciousness. Days past. Tamari had been staying with Sasori and Sakura. "You can hit him if he attacks you," Sasori said. "I know," Tamari said. "You're from Suna, so?" Sasori looked her in the eyes. "People from Suna like you and me have to be strong. The desert makes us that way. We're not like the people of the other villages. Death is a constant thing in the desert. You remember when they teach you survival training the desert? Every Suna genin is trained that way. Other shinobi don't know what it's like to live in a place that could kill you like the desert can. Don't let Hidan push you. Hold your ground." Tamari-chan. Tamari turned to look at Konan. "Hidan is still to watch you but Kakuzu will be there as well." Tamari glared but then Konan handed her back her fan. "Pain said it was okay for you to have it." Tamari understood then. They didn't trust either of the two men. She would have to be on her guard. The two men sat at a distance. The desert flower of Suna was practicing her many wind-related jutsu. She had been held to catch from what Kakuzu understood. She would make an excellent sacrifice. Kakuzu snorted at Hidan. "That's why you couldn't be left alone with her. Leader thought you were going to killing her. He thinks you're going to sell her to the highest bidder. She is worthy of slave labor but I think she would be more useful in helping collect bounties. The girl does have natural abilities that make her an extraordinary fighter. Always with money. Money is the root of all sinfulness. If you devoted your life to Jashin you would at least be serving a lasting purpose. But an asshole like you cannot understand the glory that is Jashin. Jashin will not show you his grace because I true believe him present." Kakuzu just glared. This idiot should learn to get to the point. Time meant money and was not to be wasted. Missions for the Akatsuki didn't stop because they had prisoners. Hidan had been sent on a mission out in Wave Country when Kakuzu got the message about the bounty. It was young girl she was considered fairly dangerous. "Come on Tamari." Tamari groaned as she followed him. Mist wasn't her favorite travel destination. She liked Kakuzu though. Sure he was greedy as hell and it probably would be his undoing but at least he was entertaining. Tracking the girl was far too easy but Kakuzu didn't have the desire to sell her to the proper officials. Instead he approached a group of slavers he was familiar with. They would pay him handsomely for this. "Tamari, bring the girl to them while I make the deal." Tamari instead slammed her fan into the ground and untied the girl. "Run and don't look back." The girl nodded as she headed out. "You think I'm going to let you two get away with this shit? You have another thing coming," Tamari shouted. Kakuzu didn't know what possessed him but he kissed her. Tamari, instead of biting his tongue off like she should have kissed him back. She liked Kakuzu after all. He didn't have the cruelty that Hidan did. Still Tamari stomped off into Akatsuki headquarters. She was definitely not talking to him. Hidan was pissed. Ever since his mission 3 days ago Tamari had been avoiding Kakuzu and his freaking partner had this look on his face. Kakuzu looked at Tamari like she was millions of pieces of gold. Hidan grew bored with this whole arrangement. Instead he followed Tamari towards the woods. "What are you doing?" she demanded. She was confused enough over Kakuzu she didn't need to deal with Hidan either. Hidan instead prepared to make the hand signs for the curse jutsu. Tamari recognized the hand signs and pulled at a kunai throwing it at him. That was enough for him to break concentration and think of another method of attack. He ran at Tamari prepared to jam his weapon into the weak area around her throat. Instead Tamari countered by sending a gust of wind towards him. He managed to gain his footing and headed towards her again, this time getting within her guard. Tamari slammed Hidan with her fan in the face. "Back off," she shouted. Hidan instead pulled her closer to him. Tamari prepared to raise her fan again but was stopped. Hidan's lips met her own. She couldn't believe this. Here he was, the cruel murderer and the worshipper of a cult. "What are you doing? Get off me. You tried to kill me twice now. And you fended me off as any true worshipper of Jashin would. You're my reward." She slapped hard across the face. "I'm no one's reward." She flounced off very confused. Months of pondering them, she had made a decision. They needed her more than her brothers did. Still, there were some things that needed to be said. She marched over there. She glared at the pair of them who were attacking each other. She slammed her fan down, causing them to break apart. "Just try to sacrifice me," she said, glaring at Hidan and then turning her glare to Kakuzu. "Just try to sell me. I'm worse than any biju you'll ever capture. I'll rip you to shreds." Tamari flounced off. The two men watched her go. They were hooked. She is Jashin's counterpart. She deals out death and destruction in a single blow. Kakuzu snorted. Hidan looked so love-sick as he watched Tamari from a distance. The Suna Kunoichi was swimming with the other women. There isn't enough gold in the world to equal her in value. Hidan stared at Kakuzu. Maybe the old man's brain had finally been fried. Nothing was ever better than money to Kakuzu. "She isn't the counterpart of my god or yours," Hidan said. "No, money has no value compared to her." "Then what is she?" Tamari wandered over to them. She watched silent for a while as the other girls went back to their protectors. "So boys, what are you talking about?" she asked, giving them a grin. "Nothing," they answered. She was dangerous when she had that smile. "Nothing. Why don't I believe you? Come on, Stitcha, emo boy, tell me what you were talking about." The two men looked at each other. It wasn't a good idea to say that they were talking about her. Tamari had grown up with two overprotective brothers and was suspicious of everything. Much like Sasori was, and seeing they were from the same village, it wasn't that hard to figure out that the people of Suna's brains must be addled from the desert heat. Funny how the two former Suna nins had bonded considering Sasori's antisocial tendencies. Tamari claimed he reminded her of her little brother, the case cage, with his slight insanity and red hair. That also meant that if they pissed off Tamari, they would have Sasori and his shrill-voiced captive on their case. Not a good idea at any point in life, and though Sasori could do them no real damage, the idea of being his puppets was terrifying enough. The silence must have been grating on Tamari's nerves as her eyes narrowed and the fan she had expertly hidden behind her back came out. "You better tell me," she warned, her eyes narrowing. The two men only glanced at each other as they ran from the Suna Spitfire. They looked at each other. At long last they were in agreement to what she actually was. She's the devil. Uzumaki Naruto never gave up. Never would give up when his friends were concerned. Ever since Sasuke Uchiha's betrayal, he had followed his nindo. He had brought back Sasuke only a few months ago. Still, the Kunoichi had been missing for a little over a year. At first he thought Akatsuki would contact him and ask him to come, but no word had come. It had begun with Ino's disappearance. She had vanished from the training yard without giving a sign to where she had gone. Shikamaru and Choji had searched the grounds for her but still had found no trace. After 3 days they were convinced that something was wrong. Hinata and Sakura had been taken during the mission. He had gotten Sasuke back, but losing the two Kunoichi was too much. Sakura, he still loved her. She was the perfect person as far as he was concerned. Her kidnapping AHD made him almost abandon the quest for Sasuke, but Kakashi had refused to let him go. Sakura can take care of herself. Hinata was his friend. Both Kiba and Shino had been desperate to find the heiress. Naruto had been concerned, but his first priority had been trying to get Sakura back. Even after the team returned to Konoha with Sasuke, he had been ready to set out. It was then that Suande told him about Tenten. Tenten had been out for a walk one morning and never came back. The Kunoichi was known for taking long runs, but she tended to not be gone for more than a few hours. A few pieces of clay found in the vicinity confirmed Naruto's worst fears. "It's the Akatsuki, Ba-chan. How many times have I told you not to call me that brat? I want to go after them. We don't even know where they are, besides most likely this to lure you out." Tsunade had sent out teams of Anbu, but each team came back seriously wounded or dead. The few that lived spoke of terrifying experiences battling Akatsuki. Even the only female member of Akatsuki had fought the oncoming Anbu, protecting the Kunoichi from being retrieved. Konoha had been in desperation as they looked all around to find the missing girls. Gaara and his people in Suna had contacted them to say that Temari had gone missing less than a few days after the others had disappeared. Both Gaara and Kankuro had been frantically searching for their sister. There were no signs that anything terrible had happened as she was traveling to Konoha to deliver a message. 6 months after the disappearance of the Kunoichi, a letter had arrived in Konoha addressed to both the Kazekage and the Hokage. Outlined in the letter was a peace offering from the Akatsuki. They would halt their activities in return for the hostage Kunoichi being allowed in to remain with them. The entire letter was met with the usual resentment. The remaining members of Team Guide threatened to go in after Tenten any way necessary. The same was true for Shino and Kiba. The pair had never forgiven themselves for not rescuing Hinata immediately. Sasuke could care less about finding the absent Kunoichi. This would give him the perfect opportunity to kill his brother and fulfill his oath as an avenger. Tsunade and Gaara had spent hours in conference before sending a message back to the Akatsuki. The Konoha and Suna councils had both ruled that the deal was approved. The agreement was simple, and all that was lost was one of the top medical ninjas and 4 other Kunoichis of various power ranges. Years of war with the Akatsuki would have cost them more. Tsunade and Gaara had determined that the agreement might be a way for the Akatsuki to cover up that the Kunoichi were really dead. They wanted a personal assurance that the Kunoichi were living, and the Kunoichi themselves had to agree to remaining with the Akatsuki. That was how Naruto had ended up in the woods waiting. Not far from him stood the Akatsuki leader. The man's piercings gleamed with the reflected sunlight. "You Konoha nins are always the same. Even my former sensei Jiraiya," the leader said, "would be acting as if we could not be trusted." "You lot don't have honor," Naruto retorted. "You came to aim to see the Kunoichis. Don't make this harder. Be grateful it's me you are dealing with. The others might not be so gentle." Naruto stared at the missing nin. "I just want to see my friends and talk with them alone." Pain didn't say anything. The Kunoichi, he knew, would have the opportunity to leave. Conan wouldn't like that, and as much as he loved his angel, he couldn't say that he would like it either. He had become friends with some of the Kunoichi, allowing them to get into his bubble, something that only the Akatsuki members and Conan had been allowed before had. He glared at Naruto. What was this boy thinking coming here? Did he not know that the entire reason to capture the Kunoichi was to lure him out? From out of the woods the 5 women came. Each had said goodbye to their captor. Tenten smiled at Pain before turning her brown eyes towards Naruto. She knew that Conan was waiting for him not too far away, and she hoped her friends would have faith that they would return. The Akatsuki leader said nothing as he merely walked away. Finally the women were left alone with Naruto. Naruto scanned the area repeatedly, making sure that no one was in the woods. He didn't need the girls feeling threatened into returning. "It's good to see you, Naruto," Temari said, breaking the annoying silence. "You can relax, the Akatsuki members are back at their headquarters." Naruto grinned. It took a moment for him to look at the girls. The main things he noticed, of course, were Ino's new short hair and Hinata's slightly bulging stomach. He frowned. "Hinata? Why yes, Naruto-kun? Were you, did someone, were you raped?" he finally blurted out. Hinata looked ready to burst into tears for a second but quickly composed herself. Ino, however, was glaring at Naruto. "Are you an idiot?" the blonde screamed. "You honestly think that we'd let something like that happen to Hinata-chan?" The other Kunoichi also continued to glare at Naruto. "I don't doubt that you guys would protect Hinata, but the Akatsuki aren't exactly nice guys. They're monsters. Look at Itachi, he murdered his entire family except for Sasuke Teme. He's back in the village now, Sakura-chan. But anyway, the Akatsuki don't know what it means to care about someone." He barely could dodge the kunai that came flying at him from Tenten's direction. Hinata was glaring at him with her activated bloodline. "Tenten, what are you? Don't you dare call Dai-kun a monster," Tenten yelled. "He's not a monster, neither are the others. Itachi has been good to me," said Hinata. Naruto felt his mouth dropping. "You can't be serious, Hinata. He's the father of that. It's a baby," Sakura snapped. She had been quiet long enough. "We're happy here, Naruto. We're loved for who we are." "Yeah," Temari snorted, "though the way those two show me leaves something to be desired." "But at least you know the care, Mari," Tenten said to her friend. "It's not like back at the village where we all had to wait while the boys were considered the important ones. You can't be serious, Sakura-chan. You can't believe that any of those Akatsuki love you," Naruto shouted. Sasori does love me, the pink-haired kunoichi retorted. Sasori, do you not remember what he did to Chiyo? What he did to Gaara? Sasori isn't capable of feeling love, he turned to Hinata, neither is Itachi. The word doesn't exist to them. You all have spent too much time here. I'm bringing you back whether you like it or not. Sakura's face flamed with anger. What makes you think that you have that right? Konoha signed the treaty. The peace has been made. We'll leave if you try to take us. Besides, could you protect Hinata's baby from her crazed clan or from Sasuke? Naruto felt his blood heating. Sasuke would never hurt Hinata or her child. Her clan wouldn't do anything to her either. You truly are an idiot. Ino shouted. Clans won't accept back a tainted heiress who is carrying the child of an S-class murderer. They'll either kill Hinata and the baby or take the baby and raise him to be a weapon. Hinata will be dead either way. And Sasuke is obsessed with Itachi. Even Kisame said it was nuts. You all need to come back. The village. Oh, can it? Tamari shouted. Give this letter to my brothers. I have better things to do than argue with you. Come on Hina, 10, Ino. I think Sakura has a few things to say to Naruto. The other girls headed back towards the village. How is Shisho? Sakura asked. Ba-chan is fine. She needs her #1 apprentice back. Sasuke Teme asks about you sometimes and Kakashi-sensei is good. So you ready to go home with me, Sakura-chan? This is my home now. Sakura, you can't believe that Sasori cares about. She didn't reply. Goodbye Naruto. Don't come back here. Naruto doesn't know what to feel as he watched Sakura held back to the village. He bows his head sadly as he prepares for the long trek home. Perhaps the length and the loneliness of the journey will give him enough time to think. Ino wonders. Ino moved quickly through the brush. A year ago she would have jumped at the chance to go with Naruto and return to the village. A year ago she would have wanted to return home but not now. Ino accepted that she would never be the greatest kunoichi nor would she be the strongest. She wasn't the strongest and medical ninjutsu wasn't something she found herself loving. Instead she realized that genjutsu was where her talent lied and Konoha already had a genjutsu mistress. But it was more than that. What's eating you kid? She didn't even glance at him. Nothing much Tuna-chan, I just feel so tired. You and tired don't even fit in the same sentence. What's wrong Ino? She tried not to smile as he said her name. Rarely did he ever say it. Usual she was just woman or kid or even sometimes girl. You already knew about Naruto coming here. What about the dumb brat? Do I have a purpose here? His eyes shot up. She couldn't be thinking about returning to that cursed village. Not that he would let her go back. If he had to he would drag her by her hair back to headquarters and lock himself and her in a room together until she saw reason. Of course you do. What kind of question is that? What is my purpose do I have? To annoy me? She scowled at him. Be serious. Kisame, what am I good at? Ino, you're always improving and didn't you help Conan arrange the garden? Like that's important. The two of you make sure we eat. Besides you're the best person for doing supply. All our missions are stocked properly and according to old Stitch Face you saved us lots of money. Hell, you ever came up with some strategies that leader didn't know about for cutting down on waste. Simple stuff. He pulled her towards him forcing her to meet his eyes. Ino, why the hell can't you see that you're special? I'd probably die of boredom if you weren't around. No one else can argue like you. Tell me how you really feel, she snorted. Fine, he shouted crashing his lips to hers. She stared at him in complete shock. Not that she hadn't wanted that kiss but she had never expected it from him. Definitely not from him. Sharky, I didn't know you cared. He glared at her. Don't you ever call me that in public. Whatever you say but in private you'll always be my Sharky. He growls slightly before she gives him a kiss. Where are you going woman? I figured I'd train. It's going to be a beautiful day even the cosmos are blooming. You and your flowers. Oh come on fish face, it's not like you don't ever pick flowers for me. I heard you mumbling about how I always rearrange your bouquets. I swear you missed nins are only good for two things. And what would that be? Fighting and loving. Whatever you say loudmouth. That's loudmouth Sama to you. Kisame shook his head as he raced after her. He couldn't understand why he loved as much as he did. Hinata cries. She doesn't know why. It isn't as if she is unhappy in her new life. She is happy, happier than she ever was in Hidden Village. Naruto had been her first love and maybe his rejection of her hurt. It wasn't the rejection of her love for him but the rejection of who she had become. She hadn't faced him as a weakling but instead had strongly stated her refusal. Naruto, who saw the world in such thick shades of black and white, couldn't understand how she had changed. Maybe if she had stayed weak he would have understood, but she couldn't be that girl. She couldn't be that girl again, because then how could she deserve the love she had earned? She feels the warm arms wrap around her and leans in. Here with him she is safe, and it is a strange and wonderful feeling. Never before has she been so safe, but no one in Konoha would understand how she could love an S-class murderer. The Uchiha clan killer, the man who committed patricide and matricide, with the blood-red eyes and cold voice, was the only person that taught her to be strong. Naruto had called him a monster. He had reminded her of Itachi's sins as if she didn't know them. She knew what Itachi was. He was a man who had his share of demons, and his dark side was more prevalent than his light, but she was content to be his light. He loved her without asking anything. He made her see herself as someone of worth. He didn't force her or torture her with silence. Her father would disown her now if he knew she was no longer chaste, but she didn't care. She couldn't hide the fact. Hinata, don't think of them. She gazed into his dark eyes. For once the eyes were black instead of the red she was used to. Would their baby have his eyes? She didn't know. I'm not upset, Itachi. It's just I know now I can't go back. I'll never see home again. Was it ever home to you, Hinata? She knew what he meant by that question. She had never truly been happy in Konoha. The Hyuga compound had been so cold and unfeeling. No koi, she answered. I think my home is with you. Good, he replied, kissing her forehead. Sakura yells. What the hell gives that kid the right? What the hell? Just because we were teammates doesn't give him the damn right. She smashed the clay pots and plastered faces that she had made a few days ago. Sasori had been teaching her how to make puppets out of wood, but Sakura had always liked to make decorative things. She had asked Deidara for some clay and made the pots. She even was going to make some dolls, considering that Konan was expecting and Hinata said that baby was a girl. The faces had been practiced, but she didn't care now. She turned towards the wooden doll bodies. Some were hers and others were Sasori's. She didn't think as she punched into the half-finished puppets. Sakura, stop. She feels his arms circle her suddenly. Perhaps he was angry that she had broken his projects, but he doesn't even look at the broken wooden bodies. Her hands were bloody and covered with splintered wood. Like a fool, she forgot to wear her gloves when she attacked. Gently Sasori took the splinters out of her hands. Do you love me? Sasori gazed at her, his eyes boring deep into her. He knew then he shouldn't have let her go to Uzumaki. This morning she had known he loved, but that was before Uzumaki spoke to her. I'm not capable of loving anyone but you, Blossom. He kisses her forehead and holds her close. She is still fragile like any doll, but she is also made of flesh and blood. That only makes him love her more. Tenten understands. Tenten didn't even try to think about home. There she had been a kunoichi, frequently overlooked. Not that she was resentful. Why should she be? Tsunade hadn't chosen her as an apprentice. Neji and Lee had never treated her like an equal. Guy-sensei never had time to properly train her. She was okay with all that. She was fine with being in the background. The background was a nice place to be. The background gave her the chance to blend in and pretend her existence mattered. She knew, like Ino did, that she wasn't anything special. She was just the orphan girl that was the weapon's mistress. It had hurt though that only Naruto had come to take them back. Neji and Lee probably didn't even care she was gone. She couldn't think like that. She did matter. She was strong and brave, and she did not belong in the background. She didn't want the spotlight, but she wasn't worthless. She had meaning, and she would not be trampled by her teammates. Hey Ten-chan, come here, yeah. She giggled as she saw the giant clay bird and his smile. She takes his hand and hugs him tight. She has a place to belong, and that is enough. Deidara doesn't say anything as he holds her. It is good to have someone else that understands. Tamari smiles. Tamari sighed. At least now her brothers would know not to go looking for her. Her letter that she had entrusted to Naruto explained that she would gut either one of her brothers if they showed up. She had her own problems now, and being told that she was needed at home was total bull. They didn't need her. They needed to grow up. Do you have to pray so loudly? Do you have to count your money out loud? She could hear the metal weapons being pulled out as the two immortals charged each other. Part of her wished that they would just kill each other so it would be over, but that was damn near impossible. What are you two idiots doing? She shouted, her eyes flaming. The weapons were dropped at the sound of her voice. How was your meeting with that damn F? Tamari glared. Don't you dare finish that sentence, she growled. So did that idiot want to collect a bounty? Not everything people do is for money. Sometimes there are people who believe in honor. The two men ignored her as they once again pulled out their weapons and face each other. She smiled, grabbing her fan as she sent them back with a giant wind blast. The things she did for these men. They are hers. Naruto had been here 5 years ago, but still she had needed to see. He had been convinced that the Akatsuki had brainwashed the captured Kunoichi, or that the girls were suffering from some form of Stockholm syndrome. It had taken 5 years for the new Akatsuki base to be located, and every day the families of the missing girls begged some news. Now she didn't know what to tell them. She watched the children run through the area. The forest protected them from the outside world. Then again, the Akatsuki headquarters wasn't in an open area. Still, her brown eyes watched as the children played, taking in the precious moments of childhood. It reminded her all too much of her village, and she desperately wanted to return, but what would she tell the girls' families? Surely she couldn't tell them the truth. She instead gazed at the children. Some were rougher than others, while some were just shyer, but all were precious. She knew that, as she had always known, that children, regardless of parentage or loyalties, were truly innocent. At least they were innocent until they were given kunai and sent on missions. But these children were different. They each had weapons near them, but they were still playing the games of childhood. They weren't miniature shinobi like she had expected. Each child had something unique and sacred about it. Each knew they were loved. Her own village couldn't even accomplish what the Akatsuki had. Naruto's lonely childhood was proof of that. Ready to go? She turned to look at her oldest friend. He always had his ways of gathering information. He had found the base for her and had agreed to accompany her. Perhaps he had known all along that this was what they would find. In the clearing, a little girl with reddish-pink hair ran around. Sakura. Her bright smile as she was chased by two girls, both with familiar smirks. One's hair was dark and the other's was white, but their faces showed they were sisters. Tamari. A girl with light blue hair was playing with a boy with blonde hair. The boy smiled, but his brown eyes were lit with joy as they shaped animals out of clay. Tenten. Another little boy with dark hair was watching. He stuck up his nose slightly when he saw the dirt on their hands and pouted slightly. Ino. The final child sat in the dark by himself. It was obvious that he was shy. His eyes rolled with a Sharingan but immediately turned gray and he smirked slightly. Hinata. Tsunade smiled as she turned away. Here there was peace. Here there was a future, and she could not interfere. Let's go home, Jiraiya. There are no Konoha nins here anymore. In the shadows, a group of 5 women smiled. Thank you. That's all for now. If you enjoy, then please like, share and do comments.